This meeting to order. This is a scheduled meeting of the Special Laws Subcommittee of the House Judiciary Committee. The date is April 22nd, 2001. I'm going to ask all to rise for the invocation by Representative Chip Huggins, followed by the pledge.
Let us pray. Father God, we just thank you, and we pause this morning just to think about all the things that are going on, certainly in our state, in our country, Lord. And just lift us up, Lord, and let us do your work in all that we do, and let things that we're doing be pleasing to you in all that we do. In the Lord's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have three bills on the agenda with a very limited amount of time this morning, and we're going to have to end this meeting probably at least by 10 till, because we've got some bills coming up on the floor that are very important, and we've got to get there on time for those. So we'll start off with H 3849, the Unclaimed Property Act. This is a uniform act, very complicated act, and we have our treasurer here to speak on that. Afterwards, we're going to get to H 4094, which is Jaycee's Law, that has to do with pit bull registration. And if we have time following that, we're going to get to S 505, which is the electronic dissemination of third-party recordings. So at this time, if there's anything from the members, if there's not, we'll go ahead and recognize our treasurer, our state treasurer. We appreciate you coming to speak with us today.
I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you. I do have to note, and I will be very brief, I see again the difference between finance and law. We meet in this big, nice committee in law. We meet in the broom closet in the basement for finance. I just have to note that. It's always a big difference. Thank you for being here today. I will be brief. I'm passionate about the unclaimed property law. You know, at its core, it's consumer protection. And South Carolina is a state of 5.25 million consumers, and most of them aren't very wealthy. So we do our best to go out around the country and around South Carolina to collect intangible property, whether it's stocks, bonds, old paychecks, water deposits, housing deposits, inheritances, bring them back to South Carolina, and then have a searchable database. And then we also do outreach. We're not funded to do outreach, but we do it because we enjoy it and we love it. The staff at the Unclaimed Property Division loves their jobs. We talk about the big claims, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $900,000. People have no idea it's coming to them. We talk about those so we can return the $200 and $300 claims, the $50 claims, because $100 to a single mother means putting her kid back in school, or $200 to a grandmother means medicine for the next 3 months for herself and her husband. So that's the point of all this. We appreciate the job the General Assembly has done by giving the treasurer the right to run the property. We are answerable to the General Assembly at all times, and we do so with our reporting and other mechanisms. And so we're proud and honored by that responsibility. We worked with the Uniform Law Commission intensely. My staff was on the phones daily. I testified in D.C. and in Dallas to the commission about this. Like everything else that y'all deal with, it looks simple on the front, and then you get behind it, and you've got all the mechanisms: credit card companies, life insurance companies, property and casualty insurance companies, health care, the biggest, J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs, the biggest corporations in the world that have billions and billions of dollars, and they have every justification saying they want to hang on to the money as long as they can. So that's always the tension: is how do we make sure that we look after the people of South Carolina. Last year we returned $33 million. All of that went to working people or flat out poor people. And so we're very happy about that. We appreciate the Uniform Law Commission a great deal. I know that Senator Hayes used to be on the commission. We worked with him a lot on this. Now I think Weston Newton is the point person. He's been a valuable asset to not only the state, but also to the Uniform Law Commission. So we would work with them hopefully over the next year and try to reform the act as it sits now. There have, since the RUPA bill was drafted, It's only been adopted by 5 states, and I think that's important to note, because there are some provisions that are not as helpful as others. But we would like to work with the General Assembly, and especially this committee, in any way we can to make sure that it does protect the consumers of the state. Some quick facts, and then I'll be finished. We have over $700 million to claim. It's churches, charities, businesses, LLCs, individuals, young people, old people, inheritances, all sorts of things. We returned $33.4 million last year. We brought in $78.3 million. $78.3 million. The money, we keep some money in the treasurer's office, it's determined actuarially so we can pay our payments, so we can make sure we pay the people. The rest comes to y'all. You get to spend it, but I always have a claim if I have to draw some back. But we're pretty careful that we never had to worry about that. I've been in office about 10 years now, hard to believe, and we returned $250 million. It's $250 million. And I'm proud of that because that's more than all treasurers put together. Again, we want to work with y'all in any way we can. We'd love to help you. It's an important bill, and I'm passionate about it.
We have any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Treasurer Loftus, thank you for your willingness to work with all the parties on this, and your staff has done a good job of making us aware of this, and that there's more work to be done on this and bringing all the stakeholders together. So I appreciate what you're doing to make this a better bill.
Thank you, sir.
Treasurer, I too would like to thank you for your hard work over there and this good program that has yielded such good results. In my district, we've managed to get people money they didn't know they had coming back to them, and so it's a great program. I have been informed by the sponsor of the bill that there needs to be some work on it. It needs to be some more work. Representative Newton has advised us of that, so he's recommended that at this time that we adjourn debate on it, only to simple adjourn so we can continue to work on that. I'll be glad to entertain a motion to that effect. Oh, is there somebody else? Oh, I'm sorry, we got another witness. Before we do that, let's get another witness up here.
I think, to quote Senator Leatherman, when the deal is done, be quiet. I think
All right, so. Well, we have a lot of people signed up to testify today, so I think that's appropriate. So thank you
Thank you,
again, Treasurer. Is there a motion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, opposed? Thank you, and we'll adjourn, but we'll keep working on that, and we appreciate your help with it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, we'll take up H 4094, known as Jaycee's Law. And who is our first? Representative Huggins, are you going to speak to that? All right, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly, ladies and gentlemen of subcommittee, I certainly appreciate the time, and I'm going to be brief so that we can yield to the folks that are going to be a lot more in depth than I. But 4094 is certainly Jaycee's Law. That's what we've named it. Jaycee was a young man. You have a article that I think Ms. Dean has passed around that sort of tells a little bit about that in January that occurred in Hampden County, where he was killed by a pit bull. And I think his mom is actually with us, and we certainly appreciate her, and all our sympathy and empathy go out to her for her loss. What the bill does, just briefly, is it is requiring registration for fertile pit bulls. It's not required for altered pit bulls, $25 fee. There is determination of whether you qualify for the $25 fee or not. Some folks that have pit bulls don't even have a full-bred pit bull, so there's determination needed there. There's allowance of fertile pit bulls and exemptions It's certainly not picking on the breed. It still allows for breeding, and I know there's a lot of discussions going on with it now, but like I said, I'm going to yield my time, Mr. Chairman, to the folks that are here to testify today, and would appreciate them being able to talk today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Representative Huggins. First person we have signed up to testify is Joe Elmore from the Charleston Animal Society. Mr. Elmore, your mic is on. We're ready for you.
Thank you, Chairman McCravy. Joe Elmore, President and CEO of Charleston Animal Society, North Charleston, South Carolina. I'm also a resident of there, raised in Greenville, South Carolina. My family's in Greenville, South Carolina, and all. Thank you, and I'll try to be as brief as I can. And members of the committee and Chairman and Representative Huggins for introducing 4094. Just briefly, I want to say this bill is all about saving the pit bull type of dog in South Carolina. This is my pit bull of 12 years. For the Carolina and Clemson fans, I apologize. This is game day. Had him for 12 years. He was a great dog, a majestic dog. Died in my arms of a brain aneurysm. On behalf of the over 18,000 current members of Charleston Animal Society and our network of animal shelter partners across our state, I ask you to pass this bill out of subcommittee to be heard by the full House Judiciary Committee. 4094 is referred to as Jace's Law. In memory of a 6-year-old boy mauled to death by a fertile, unaltered pit bull type of dog in Hampton County this year. Jace's mother, you'll hear from her shortly. Please vote yes. Take the vote today. Send this to the full committee. We have worked on this bill for about 2 years, compromised over and over again. We've had a number of discussions with Representative Hyatt out of Pickens County, chair of the Agriculture Committee, as you know, to improve the bill. It works. It works in Beaufort. It works in Aiken. It works in South Carolina. You will hear from those leaders there. That's why those of us working on the front lines, actually running animal shelters, from Charleston to Moncks Corner to Somerville to Greenwood, all of them support this bill. I spoke with them this morning on the way up here. Berkeley County, Dorchester County, Greenwood County. We spent countless funds on community outreach, and we still do, but it's just not enough to save these dogs. We need your help. This is about South Carolina families and South Carolina dogs, our pit bull types of dogs. I'm saddened that I'm here again. 10 years ago, I was here representing the ASPCA. I was here in South Carolina, shortly following the death of Ethel May Horton. I provided testimony about that death. It was a horrific death. I'm not going to go into the details out of deference to Jace's mother. But she was an elderly African-American woman. Jace, as you know, young, white child. This affects men, women, children, black, white, elderly. It affects all of us South Carolinians. It affects our families. The most pressing issue for animal shelters, and costing millions of dollars each year in taxpayer dollars and in donor dollars, is the disproportionately large number of pit bull types of dogs due to a lack of accessible and affordable spay neuter and awareness of the dangers they face and the dangers that our families face by circumstances that place this majestic dog through no fault of its own in situations where it is harmed, euthanized, or it causes harm. The problem, and these are the facts, these are South Carolina facts. This is South Carolina data. Pit bull type dogs are the most prevalent dogs entering South Carolina shelters. In 2018, 9 participating animal shelters indicated that upward of 20,000 dogs entered their shelters that year. Almost 6,000 or 30% were pit bull types of dogs. Right now, at our shelter in Charleston County, we have 98 dogs in our care. 38 of those are pit bull types of dogs, 42%, and that is not uncommon. Berkeley County and Moncks Corner Animal Center is overwhelmed with pit bulls today. Greenwood, Dorchester County, across South Carolina. Number 2, pit bull type dogs are disproportionately euthanized due to the overwhelming numbers of them. In the survey above that I've mentioned, 7 participating animal shelters provided both intake and euthanasia data, indicating that nearly half of the dogs put down were pit bull types of dogs. Pit bull types of dogs are the exclusive dog of choice for dog fighting. Pit bull types of dogs cause more severe injuries to South Carolinians than any other dog. This is from our DHEC, our South Carolina DHEC. In 2019, 34%, 2,533 of the 7,455 identified breeds of dog committing bites were from pit bull types of dogs. Now that eliminates 1,500 dogs that were given the benefit of the doubt because the breed or the type of breed was not known. So there was a recognition that there were dogs that couldn't be placed into the pit bull type of dog category. This legislation addresses 4 problems: incentivizing spay-neuter, relieving significant burdens on animal shelters, reducing the number of dogs available to dog fighting, mitigating the amount of harm caused to humans by fertile pit bull types of dogs, and raising awareness about the plight of these dogs. This is about saving the pit bull type of dog. What this bill is not, which has been mischaracterized quite a bit, this bill is not a ban on pit bull types of dogs. All of us vehemently oppose bans. This is not a mandatory spay-neuter. This is not a financial hardship on pit bull types of dogs. If any of you have bought a bag of dog food for $25 or less, you're probably lucky, particularly if it's for a large dog. The annual fee, if you choose to breed or not spay-neuter your dog, is $25. The cost of a cheap bag of dog food. And it is not a disproportionate burden on any specific demographic group. Let me say this and be brief because I know we're short on time. Our understanding, we work on the lines. Since the onset of the pandemic, we've worked 24/7. We have never closed our shelter. We don't have the luxury of being out of state and working on political ideologies and philosophies and everything. And I say this out of, as politely as I can. It's, my understanding is there are 3 key opponents to this bill, all from out of state. The first one is the AKC out of New York with its $100 million budget. The AKC has been exposed over and over again for its practices, its with the connection to puppy mills, et cetera. This has been documented by the Humane Society of the United States, NBC Television, the New York Times, Scientific American, Chicago Tribune, and it goes on and on and on. What I ask you to do is to listen to us, South Carolinians. Another animal organization up in New York, the Animal Farm Foundation. The Animal Farm Foundation is suspended in South Carolina. Today, it is suspended by our Secretary of Commerce. I see no standing for these 2 organizations. The AKC does not even recognize pit bull as a breed of dog. Doesn't run animal shelters, neither does the Animal Farm Foundation. But we thank the New York organizations for their so-called expertise. Best Friends Animal Society out in Utah, another $100 million a year organization from Utah. I couldn't even tell you what states surround Utah. I don't think most South Carolinians could, and I don't think most South Carolinians care. But of the animal organizations here, you have a number of these. Aiken, Palmetto in Columbia, Charleston Animal Society. We all spend well over 80% on programs. Greenwood Humane Society spending nearly 90% on programs. Best Friends with this $100 million budget spend a paltry 65% on programs, and that is the threshold as minimum spending on programs, as stated as a standard by the Better Business Bureau Wise Giving Alliance for National Organizations. All of the others spend more than that. The Best Friends lobbyist or representative is on record as saying that this bill is mandatory spay-neuter. That is false. It is not. I would be happy to talk to them and to educate our friends from Utah on our bill that Representative Huggins, and thank you, Representative Huggins, has introduced in the legislature. I'd be happy to take questions, and thank you, Chairman McCravy, for giving me this much time.
Mr. Elmore, I have a lot of questions.
Yes, sir.
And I also sympathize with this, and I'm sure the other representatives have a lot of questions too, because it's an important topic. But if I ask you all my questions, we'll be here and nobody else will be able to testify. And so I'm going to ask you if it looks like to me we're not even going to get everybody in today, but I want you to come back if you can. If you can't come in person, maybe appear, because the next time we have a hearing on this, I think you need to be here, and I think it's important. And I did get a message from Chairman Murphy. I think he's your representative.
Yes, sir.
And he advised me it's a very important issue, and he wanted to thank you for coming today. So we appreciate you coming. So at this time, I know
Thank you, Chairman McCravy. If I could, I just want to congratulate, because Greenwood, the Humane Society of Greenwood is in your jurisdiction, and we recognize the Humane Society of Greenwood in 2020 as the Animal Shelter of the Year in South Carolina. So I wanted you to know that.
Yes, they work very hard.
And
They sure do.
congratulations to the folks up there. If I could just say one last thing, and I'm very concerned about the standing. We have a lot of work on us. If the committee members, with all due respect, give preference and standing to us South Carolinians, to Jace's mom, to the 9 grandchildren of Ethel May Horton in Bishopville. I don't know if our friends in New York and Utah have ever been to Bishopville or Hampton or Greenwood or Moncks Corner or anywhere in South Carolina. But that was 10 years ago. For the sake of our sons of South Carolina, for the sake of our grandmothers of South Carolina, let's not go another 10 years without action. And thank you, Chairman McCravy, very much for giving me that.
thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
The next witness we have is Victoria LaBar. Ms. LaBar, we want to thank you for coming today, and we know it's very difficult for you, and we appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me. So, you know my name. I'm 23. And January 20th of this year, I lost my son to a stray pit bull that showed up on my property. He was not fixed. I reported him to the local animal shelter, as I would do if my dog got out, because I have my own animals and I am not rich. But my animals are chipped. They have tags with my name and my address, and if they got out, I know I would call the proper people to let them know that they got out as a responsible pet owner. And the bottom line is, a phone call could have saved my son's life if whoever had owned that dog had just called and reported them missing. And in less than 3 seconds, my life changed. 8 days the dog was with us, and he showed no signs of anything until he just walked up to my son and ripped out his throat. And I don't blame the dog. I've taken in many pit bulls. In hindsight, it's always 20/20. So yes, now I would go back and not keep that dog. But I wouldn't have done anything different in the beginning. I would have still fed that dog. I still would have notified animal control. And I still would have tried to have found him a home. Because there are options just for like there is safe haven options for babies, there are options for animals other than abandoning what should be a member of your family on the side of the road. And that's what my pets are to me. My dog that day fought to save my son's life, even though she was half the size of the dog that took his. And if these laws had been in effect, just maybe, my son would be alive today. And if nothing will bring my son back. But if my son and a dog died that day, and neither one had to happen, and that's really it. It was something that was completely avoidable if whoever had owned that dog had been responsible. I am only 23, but my dog is family. And if she got out, I definitely would be out looking for her, looking on social media, because I posted all over social media trying to locate his owner. I even talked with people who thought maybe he was theirs, and he wasn't. And I had found him a home. And the day the man was supposed to come get him, he walked up to my son, showed no signs of aggression, and went straight for his throat. And in less than 3 seconds, me and my family's life was turned upside down. And still, we have no idea who the dog belongs to. We can find no vet records for his rabies vaccines. He had no microchipped, and he was not fixed. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Ms. LaBar, we're very sorry for your loss, and we can't imagine what it'd be like to go through that. And so we want to thank you for your courage to come and testify today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we have next Tallulah McGee. We're going to try to get this witness in and Barbara Nelson, but we're going to have to do it in less than 5 minutes. So if we can, try to get it done.
I tend to talk quick. Good morning. My name is Tallulah McGee. I'm Director of Animal Control in Beaufort County since 2012. In 2012, we began a reduced program within Beaufort County, and of course, the main focus was the pit bull population. You have heard the data pertaining to pit bulls, but I wanted to explain the way Beaufort County and our partner, Hilton Head Humane, attacked the problem. Hilton Head Humane in Beaufort County knew the only way to reduce euthanasia cost and intake was aggressive spay-neuter. In 2015, we passed the ordinance of mandatory spay-neuter of all pit bulls and pit bull mixes. We are not ones who would create laws unless we have a plan to make it work. Hilton Head Humane offered free spay-neuter to all pit and pit bull mixes within the county. The ability to enforce was cost-effective because of our Fix-It or Ticket campaign. We eliminated the need to enforce through the courts, but administrative tickets. It's almost like a parking ticket, which I have samples here if y'all would like to see them. Sorry, let me see this. Beaufort County saw a dramatic increase in the number of pit bulls spayed and neutered. The number of pit bulls sterilized increased over 100% just 18 months after we passed this ordinance. I'm here to support any law to help reduce a population that's out of balance, but hope in the future you listen to those who are in the field that we need to focus on higher penalties to those who create the problem. The time and effort to collect $25 for those who are the problem is far too low and not cost effective, but again, it's a step in the right direction. So please support this law. We hope that in the future, we need to be aggressive and hope that administrative tickets would be an enforcement throughout the state, because the revenue to pay for free sterilization would be from the people who are the problem and not the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you
Got any questions?
for your testimony. Any questions? Okay, and probably our last witness of the day is going to be Barbara Nelson from the SPCA in Aiken, South Carolina.
Aiken, South Carolina, that's correct. All right, my name is Barbara Nelson. Thank you, Chairman McCravy, for the opportunity. Yes, this is the SPCA Albrecht Center in Aiken, South Carolina. We are not associated with the national organization, the ASPCA. We are local, on-the-ground, nonprofit animal shelter in Aiken, South Carolina. I think that you have heard that irresponsible pet owners are really causing a lot of trouble here in South Carolina. And responsibility means that if you're not going to be in the business of breeding to promote the breed, then you should be spaying and neutering and microchipping your pet. The bill that you're considering today is a very simple solution to an important issue that affects the safety and the well-being not only of human beings, but of the animal itself. The mix of dogs that we're talking about here has historically been bred to have extremely strong jaws and do not let go of their victim. They are the breed of choice for drug dealers and others who post them as alarms and protection against law enforcement. They have found their way into the general population of dogs, and that's extremely unfortunate. There are some very nice little pit bulls out there, but they're a lot different than these ones that you're seeing when you're finding them across the country here in South Carolina. They are the most abused, they are the hardest to adopt, and they are the most euthanized. They are by far the largest percent of dogs in shelters. As Tallulah mentioned to you, a registration ordinance does work. For example, in the city of Aiken, we passed a modest registration fee in 2005. The AKC, a national organization that does not even recognize the breed of pit bulls, or so-called breed of pit bulls, this mix, opposed that ordinance that we had. In that ordinance, what we do in the city of Aiken in 2005 is we said that any fertile dog the owner must pay $100. It was a lifetime fee, $100. Anyone that had a spayed and neutered dog, no charge whatsoever. It worked extremely well. In 2005, there were 635 dogs that were brought to the SPCA Albrecht Center. In 2020, the number was reduced by 2/3 to 217. Registration ordinances for fertile dogs work. They absolutely work. We had no pushback from the citizens. They completely understood it. The only pushback we had was from AKC. They told me it wouldn't work. They told City Council it wouldn't work. Fortunately, City Council was progressive enough. They passed the ordinance, and you can see that it worked. I urge you to consider the experiences in the city of Aiken. Understand that these dogs have a propensity to turn like that if they're fertile because they're aggressive, have a tendency to be aggressive, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions about the city of Aiken's simple registration system, its database, and its effectiveness. It does work. I urge you to highly consider this bill. Thank you very much.
We want to thank you for your testimony. I think Representative Huggins has a quick question.
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thank you, number one, for everyone that's come today. I have a couple of folks I'd just like to recognize because I know they're not going to get to testify today. We have Mr. Loris Mungo, if you would please stand, and Denise Wilkerson in the back. They are both from Palmetto Lifeline. I cannot tell you what they do. It's so important to all of our state and community, and we appreciate y'all being here very much today as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we do want to recognize you and thank you for coming today. We're going to have to continue this because we're out of time, and you know we have limited time here. We wish we had more time a lot of times. So, but anyway, we had more people signed up. We had another law that we wanted to consider, but we're not going to be able to get to that today because of our floor vote. So. At this time, I think we ought to just adjourn based on times. Ms. Davis moves to adjourn. All right, all in favor say aye. Opposed, so ayes have it. We'll adjourn now, and I would love to hang around and talk with every one of you. Unfortunately, we've got to go straight to the State House, so thank you for understanding that, and we appreciate you coming.